Hey guys, welcome to the Xbox Boomer Project, episode 7. This is Anthony from the Xbox Boomer channel, and today we are talking about The Walking Dead Season 2 by Telltale Games for the Xbox 360. Before we get started, let me just say that this is an audio show, so treat this just like a podcast. Put it on in the background, while you're showering, getting ready for work, while you're working out, whatever you're doing, or not doing in your day. This is not going to have any gameplay or any video. If you want that, it's literally 2 clicks away on YouTube. Have fun with it. But yeah, this is audio only, so thank you for all my listeners. And then this is a spoiler-free review or audio show. I hate when you find a good game that you're really into and you're trying to get information on it, like, oh dude, tell me about the game. Tell me about the game. Is it worth $50? And then some guy online's like, well, the final boss is a dragon, and then you kill the dragon with the sword. It's like, come on, man. Come on. Listen, buddy, the people who's gonna click on this don't have the damn game. So anyways, there's gonna be no spoilers in this, I'm gonna keep it surface level, so if you want to play this or you haven't played this, you could go out and buy it and find it. So anyways, The Walking Dead Season 2, like I said, it's an Xbox 360 game. It also came out on a multitude of different platforms. So it's out on the PlayStation 3, physical, you can find it. And then, of course, there was a digital, download version on the 360 and the PlayStation 3. I believe some of your Nintendo systems have that available. I believe specifically the Nintendo Switch does have a version available for it. I also believe there is a Windows and I want to say a Mac version as well out there. And some of your portable systems as well. I want to say I saw PlayStation Vita when I was researching this, and even I want to say some of your phones, some of like the different phone, operating systems. You can actually find The Walking Dead Season 2. And just to be clear, this is a straight up continuation of Telltale Games's The Walking Dead Season 1 on Xbox 360. So my recommendation to you, if you haven't played The Walking Dead Season 1, go ahead and buy that first, play that one first. It is your decisions in the game from the first season are actually going to carry over into the second season. So you're gonna really want to play that. Now the game will let you play it without having, a save file for the first game on your Xbox. So you can jump in if you find it for like $2 or something at a flea market. Um, but really, you want to play the first game before you get into this one, because you're gonna be scratching your head. There's gonna be like a lot of questions going on. Um, but yeah, like I said, this is a story-based game. So it's very rich in the narrative, of actually like, what's gonna unfold between the characters. And there's several different decisions to be made in this game that affect how the story is going to pan out. But we'll get into that later. If you haven't heard of Telltale Games, as far as I know, they're out of business at this point in time. But they made some really interesting games for a lot of different platforms. They made like the Sam and Max games on the Xbox Live Arcade. They made the Wolf Among Us, which was a phenomenal game. It was also a point and click style game for the Xbox 360 and the PS3 and some of those systems. So they were very, very popular. I actually believe they also had a hand in making the Jurassic Park game for Xbox 360. And that one has shot up in value quite a bit at this point in time. So they have quite a little resume going. If you haven't heard of Telltale Games, and if you're just clicking on this because you've seen it in your feed or whatever, I do also have a Xbox Boomer project on the first season of the Walking Dead video game. So you might want to listen to that one which is also spoiler free before you listen to this one. But yeah, we'll keep rolling here. Um, so, like I said, this game is a point and click style. So if you've played a lot of those older PC games where you're kind of like exploring the environment for clues, walking around and interacting with objects, or kind of like interrogating people, asking a lot of questions to figure out where to go or what to do next. It's very similar to that. But a lot of the game, it's not, you don't have to click like, you're playing an old Sims game, of where you want your character to move. You just walk with the thumbstick, the left thumbstick. So it's really like a third person point and click game. Um, Now it is loosely based on the universe of the Walking Dead television show. That was a TV show that aired on the station AMC for a while. It was a really popular show back in the day. Um, I mean, I remember playing The Walking Dead season 1 when it came out quite a bit. And I finished it, of course, back in the day. And I really that game, I will say the first season does absolutely leave off on kind of cliffhanger for the ending, which I'm not going to be specific. Um, but I really wanted to kind of know more about what happens after that game, and it was kind of disappointing back then, to leave off like that for so long. And there was a 3-year gap in between The Walking Dead season 1 and The Walking Dead season two's first episode to come out. So within that 3 years, when season two came out for the first time, on the download, because it came out one episode at a time, which I'll tell you about a little later. Um, I had really lost interest in this game series. A lot happens event wise in the first season, and so much kind of unfolded at the end of that first game. I didn't see how they were going to kind of shamble together a coherent story in the second season. So there was just a multitude of other games coming out back then, and I never picked up season two when it was popular. Um, but with that being said, I want to say maybe like 2 years ago now, I found this game, Walking Dead Season 2, at a local pawn shop. And it was $5. That's US money, American dollars. And so I picked it up for $5, and it had the nice case, and everything. And I played through it. And I want to say, maybe a week later, this is before I started the game. Of course, I just, purchased it and sat it on the shelf. I went to a GameStop and I found The Walking Dead season one as well. And so, I sat down in a weekend. The weather was bitter and it was cold, and I played through both games back to back. So I beat season one, and then I immediately stuck in season two, and I played through that, and I transferred all my decisions from the first game to the second one, because it influences the story. Um, and so you can beat both of these games in a weekend. Even if you have just like a 2-day weekend, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, it's kind of a crunch, but you can do it. I mean, that's what I did, and it had me hooked till the end because I really wanted to know what happened. Um, one of the reasons why I lost interest in season two back in the day is that if you've watched any of season one, as far as the gameplay, or you played it yourself or whatever, you play as a guy named Lee Everett, and so Lee is on his way to prison, and the police car crashes, and you play as this kind of like escape fugitive during the zombie outbreak, and you're caretaking this little girl named Clementine, and kind of trying to survive in the zombie apocalypse with her, and that's the premise of the first game. Well, in season two, you have to play as that little girl. You have to play as Clementine, And I think when I found that out back in the day when this game came out, it really put a damper on the game for me. Because I mean, when you're a little kid, or I mean, I was probably a little older by the time season 2 came out, but you're playing games like Halo or Battlefield or, Gears of War, and then, Telltale Games comes out with this like slow-paced point and click game out of nowhere, 3 years later after we had been waiting for another one, and you have to play as this little girl. And it's kinda like, "What the hell?" Like, that's, you have a bunch of, like, testosterone driven, young guys. Like, "We don't wanna play as a little girl. What the hell is that?" You know? Yeah, it was just kinda weird at the time. I mean, I remember that. I remember kinda seeing it. I think maybe a video on the Xbox 360 dashboard, because they back when, Xbox 360 was all the rage, you used to see advertisements all over your Xbox 360 dashboard for like new games coming out that they wanted to promote. And I'm pretty sure I seen one for this game. And I just couldn't help but thinking like, really? A little girl? You guys will have to bear with me a little bit. I'm still a little sick here. I've been sick for about a week or so now, so sometimes I gotta, take care of me and blow my nose and stuff real quick. Um, but yeah, so you play as Clementine, and it was a real turnoff at the time as being a young kid. I just didn't want to do that. Um, but as you're going through this world playing as Clementine, there are a lot of conversation trees. So when you interact with a character, you're gonna see a little kind of like a wheel pop up. It's like gonna show all the face buttons of the Xbox 360 controller, and it'll say like, "Hey, hit X to tell them, yeah, I want to come join your party," or hit B to say, "No, I'm not coming over there with you, bum." And it'll kind of give you some different options of like if you want to treat people like, happy, sad, with respect or disrespect. And that changes how that character is gonna, interact with Clementine in the game world. Um, Now, this game has quite a bit of exploration in it. It's gonna pretty much throw you into set areas, so it's not free roam or anything like that. But within these different areas, like let's say it's like a hardware store, or let's say it's like in a kind of like a hub cabin, like an area where all the survivors kind of gather together and kind of live. You'll have to explore that cabin for clues or find a specific, piece of the puzzle, like a specific item. Maybe it's like a healing item. You'll have to look in that cabin for like something to clean your wound with potentially. Um, or, in the hardware store, maybe you need a special item to come, give to another character. So you're gonna have to look around a little bit, but it's nothing that, you're probably not gonna need any YouTube videos or anything like that. I mean, this game's pretty straightforward, and it's like watching a TV show. I mean, it really is. It's like watching an animation for adults, almost. Now there are several action segments throughout the game, and this changes the gameplay up pretty good, quite a bit too, pretty frequently. These action segments could be anything from like shooting a gun at an enemy to maybe you're running through the forest using the either one of the thumbsticks to do quick time events. So there's like a lot of zombie chase scenes, and during a lot of these chase segments, you're gonna have to quickly flick one of the thumbsticks, whichever one you prefer, in the direction of, whatever it's gonna prompt you on the screen, and you'll dodge the zombie or run to the left, or, maybe you'll jump over something. And then of course, a lot of times if you fail these quick time events, you'll die and you'll have to, restart from like the nearest checkpoint. Um, but there aren't too I mean, there's not too many parts that are really gonna give you trouble, I don't think, in this game. Like I said, it's pretty straightforwards, which can be a good thing. Linear games are good too. I mean, I know I'm a very busy person nowadays. I work my nuts off all the time, always working overtime, always clocking hours. I don't have time for long games. I mean, I just beat Deadly Premonition, which is another game we're going to talk about here shortly, for the Xbox 360, and that game took me, between 17 and 18 hours just to run through the main story, not including any of the collectibles or the side missions, and that's an open world game. And I don't like running through games like that anymore. I really don't, because a lot of these linear games, like, The Walking Dead season 2, within a matter of a couple hours, you can make some significant progress. You can see some pivotal story moments. You can meet some different characters, do some chase scenes, do some exploring, and feel like you accomplished something, and you can actually feel like it's a digestible game. Like, oh, if I only have one day this weekend, I can play games for 4 hours. Like how far can I get? I mean, it's nice to have that type of game in your lineup. Um, I'm finding that as I'm getting older, that's a really nice thing to have sometimes. Um, well, yeah, so you're going to get a little bit of conversation in this game, a little bit of exploring, and even some action. You're going to get a little bit of everything. Um, Now, I guess I should say to you, the graphics are better than the first game. So season one was a little more cartoony of a look, and I don't think there were as many details because I believe The Walking Dead season one came out, I want to say, in 2010, and the first episode of The Walking Dead season 2 came out in 2013. So there was quite a little bit of an upgrade in graphics, for sure. It is a kind of like a Borderlands. If you played that game on the 360, it's like a Borderlands style of graphics for a lot of the characters and the like the models of the guns and things. So some things have more detail than others. And it's almost like a cell shaded style. So it's kind of artsy, it's kind of cartoony. Um, but it is a very serious tone to the game, despite looking a little cartoony. So it goes deep. It'll hit you in your feels a little bit if you're playing this game and you're invested. Especially if, I mean, I would not recommend looking up any spoilers. If you want to play this game, don't be like, oh, I'm gonna watch the first mission. Just don't do it, because the whole game. I mean, there's so many spoilers that can happen based on the choices you make very early on. So I'm kind of tiptoeing a little bit, making this audio show. Um, so the game starts off, and it follows pretty close thereafter from the events of the first season. So you're gonna play as Clementine, like I said, and you're with a couple characters from the first season, and so you're gonna be with Krista and Omid, and Krista and Omid are two of the survivors from your original party at the end of the first game, and they're looking after Clementine. So they're kind of like the father and the mother figure, kind of teaching Clementine how to survive in the world, looking after her, making sure she's safe. Um, and they basically come to almost like this truck stop or this like rest area after they're walking through the game world. And there's going to be a girls' bathroom and a boys' bathroom. And so Krista is pregnant, so they need to take rests, of course, because she's gonna have a baby. Um, and so Krista and Omid, they both go in. I believe I want to say maybe the boys' bathroom, and they're gonna freshen up a little bit. Because in this game world, it is a zombie apocalypse in the Walking Dead game world. So supplies are very scarce. A lot of the conditions are rough for the characters. So a lot of characters haven't showered in a long time. They haven't had proper hygiene. Um, So yeah, they go in and everybody's kind of using bottles of water to clean themselves over the sink, and they tell Clementine, the little girl you play as, to go by herself in the girls' bathroom. And this kinda it confused me a little bit 'cause, I was like, "Well, if I was in a zombie apocalypse, I would think we all wanna kinda, get in there together, nut to butt, and, kinda clean up and stuff, 'cause you wanna have someone stand and watch and all that," but that's just me, I don't know. But so they send Clementine in the girls' bathroom all alone. She puts her gun up on the counter. Of course, that's the first mistake. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I would have got the kid a holster or, made her something, stick it in your underwear and some cardboard or something. But uh but yeah, so Clementine puts the pistol on the sink and her backpack because she has some supplies with her. And she drops a bottle of water that she was going to use to freshen up in the sink. And so she crawls under into the stall and grabs the bottle of water. And just then, someone opens the door to the women's restroom. And so she climbs up on the toilet, is trying to be quiet as a mouse, trying to not be seen, not be heard. And it's a woman. And the woman is a stranger that she's never met before. And of course, the stranger picks up her gun. It's a Glock handgun, something in that key, kind of that style, and the woman starts checking the bathroom stall doors, and she sees Clementine, and now of course she aims the pistol at Clementine through the stall door, tells her to come out, and she starts stealing all of her things. Going through her backpack, asking her like, "What do you got? Are you holding out on me? Like, who are you here with?" And Omid, the father figure, comes in, but he's unarmed. And he tries his best to take the gun from the stranger because the stranger has her back to him, and he gets shot. And of course, the stranger freaks out after she shoots him and says she didn't mean to. And then Krista, who is the mother figure to Clementine now, um, he comes in and sees that her, lover has been shot and killed, and she shoots the stranger. And that's kind of how the game starts. It's just a mess. It's a bad shootout where a couple people die in this like truck stop bathroom. And now because the provider and the protector Omid is dead, the two girls, the woman Krista and Clementine, they both have to survive in the woods on their own. And that's kind of where the game starts you, and that's kind of it's a pretty bleak tone, a pretty crap way to start the game, um just because I mean there's not much hope, because Crystal was gonna have a baby, and it's kind of, you don't know where all that's gonna go quite yet. um but while you're in the woods, of course, this is the very end, entry point of the game, so I'm not really giving much away to you, but I'm just giving you a start to kind of how this looks when you start. um Once you get in the woods with Krista, it's very cold. Both the women have a very hard time starting a fire in the damp conditions, and some bandits actually come across their camp and see the women out there trying to survive. And both of the women basically get separated. So you're playing as Clementine, and it goes from trying to find a way to start the fire at camp because it's not lighting, to now all of a sudden you're running from bandits. There's zombies everywhere. You're stranded and separated from, Krista, your only friend left in the world. And next thing you know, you fall in a river and you're floating down the river. And it's pretty hectic, pretty quick. And even when things seem peaceful in this game, and the first game too, it follows that same type of, kind of guideline as the first game. Stuff can get crazy really fast. And so there's quite a bit of plot twists you're gonna get to experience and Like I said, the story's probably the main selling point of this game. Just getting to the different environments, meeting all the different characters and trying to figure out their motives, if you could trust them or if you shouldn't, or um, just exactly what you want to do as this little girl. Because a lot of characters, especially the adults, because you have to play as this little girl, they're not all going to respect you as an adult. Because while she is a few years older, Clementine, that is, from the first season, she's still not a woman. She's still not fully grown, and so she faces a lot of problems with that through the game. And a lot of decisions you're going to want to make, and if you're an adult in real life, you're going to be used to be like, oh, we'll just go over there and do that, or climb up here. You're going to find that there's a lot of problems that come in this game from having to play as a little girl. Whether it's people not respecting you or not being able to reach something, there's a lot of situations like that. Um, Now you're going to hear a lot of the undertone of this game is kind of based around this kind of folklore of a settlement called Wellington. And so Wellington is kind of this name that is passed around a lot of the survivor groups, and it is a place in the north of the United States where I believe it's in Michigan. They said, um, and it's a place that allegedly the survivors out in the zombie apocalypse have built a settlement where you can come and you can live and you can find food and you can survive. And they've handled the zombie problem and they've managed to kind of rebuild a little bit of society. So you're going to hear a lot of talk between the survivors, especially early on, and as you go throughout the game, of if Wellington actually exists, and what could be there or who could be there, and how to get there. Because nobody really knows. Because I mean, it's not like you could pick up a phone in the middle of the apocalypse. Oh, excuse me, and call somebody. Um, Now, like I said, a lot of those segments in the game, those action segments, they are quick time events. So there's going to be some button mashing. If a zombie grabs Clementine, or if you get stuck under a tree branch or something, you might have to kind of mangle your A button on your controller and just keep going ba 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 ba. And tapping it for a while. Um, but a lot of these quick time events are kind of like slow time events. That's kind of the way I look at them, because a lot of them you have pretty sufficient time to act and do what you need to do. Um, a lot of the action sequences in the game, you're going to be controlling like a crosshair with your right stick on your controller, your right analog stick, and you might have to aim a weapon, whether it's a melee weapon, like where you want Clementine to strike. And you can usually use the right trigger or the A button if it's like some segment where you have to attack with a gun or a weapon. Um, and yeah, it's just I mean, it's pretty generous. I think this game is very generous on the amount of time it gives you to figure things out. And yeah, like I said, I didn't have too many troubles with this game. Um, Now I will say the one thing I did have troubles with. Um, because I beat the game initially back in March of this year. In March, the very end of March of 2024. Like I said, I beat The Walking Dead and The Walking Dead season 2 back to back. And even in the first game, I noticed this. So I don't know if it's the game engine or what it is exactly. If it's the specs of the 360. Because like I said, this is specifically a 360 problem that I encountered. But I was playing on an Xbox 360 Model E, which is I believe it's the latest model of Xbox 360 revisions that they did, and one of the better models. And the game, even just replaying it today because I played it a few hours back for, maybe 2 hours or so just to get a last taste before talking about the game. Um, it was freezing constantly. Like when I would click one of the episodes to load a different, chapter of the episode, or if I hit a loading screen, the game itself would just plain out freeze. And so much so where, I sat there for like 3, 4 minutes and nothing happened. And I thought I was going to have to shut the Xbox off. Um, it stutters quite a bit when you first load an area or if there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I think it's just too much for the 360 to handle. Or maybe it's not optimized correctly for the 360. I mean, I don't know. Um, on the back end. But I've talked about it before, but I've had to do several times the controller battery pack trick for the 360. And that's, of course, back in the day, if your 360 froze, we would hit the Xbox 360 dashboard button. Sometimes that would unfreeze it. And then if that didn't do anything, all you could really do if you already hit the dashboard button is pop the battery pack out of your controller and basically force your Xbox 360 controller to disconnect from the Xbox. And sometimes that does work on a lot of games. And I found that that does actually work on The Walking Dead season 2. Um, so yeah, that's something you're gonna probably encounter. I don't know if the download version of this game is any better. Because like I said, they released this in episodic fashion. That's the fancy cool guy way of saying they pooped it out in multiple, stints in multiple sections. So this game came out, as far as I know, an episode at a time. So for download, and then after that, they made the physical version on disc with all 5 episodes. If you do buy the physical version, you don't have to download anything from like Xbox Live or none of that. No codes in the game case. You just pop in the game disc and you're ready to play. I mean, it's that simple. But I do wonder if because it's reading off all the information off of that game disc, maybe that's why it stutters so much. I mean, I think it very well could be. I'd say you might want to try installing it to your hard drive on the 360 version if you have a big enough hard drive. If you're not aware, that is an option you can do to make your games run a very small amount of you know, kind of like efficiency better. You can actually there's an option on the 360 dashboard where you can install the game. Kind of like the Xbox One and the Series X make you install games. It was optional for the 360. But you still have to have the game disc in the Xbox to, of course, play it. Um, Now in this game, you're gonna meet a couple different factions. This game is really big on, different factions, like, having relations between groups, getting groups to get along with each other and kind of make a plan to, whether it's like escape a bad situation, like a horde of zombies, or whether it's like, a group of bandits, you're all trying to get together and get the different personalities together, kind of come up with a plan. Because there's a lot of headbutting in this game. I mean, a lot of characters are gonna butt heads with each other and not like each other's plans. And Clementine's kind of stuck in the middle of all these adults trying to convince them, like, "Hey, come over here. I've got a plan," or like, "Oh, maybe we should go with Billy's plan." It's a lot of like back and forth, and you're kind of trying to sway people's opinion. Um, but the factions, you're gonna have some good factions and some bad. I mean, it's very, very similar to the first game, um, in that regard. So if you if you've already played season one, this is just more of the same with a prettier coat of paint. This is just more of the first game. You're getting an extension of that. Um, Now, I did read, as I was doing a little bit of research, a little bit of homework on season two. Um, some of the there's one downloadable content pack for The Walking Dead season 1. And I did not play that this time around when I was playing the two games. But if you do have that downloadable content pack, I know they used to sell it on the dashboard for I think 400 Microsoft points. But you can, if you have an RGH Xbox 360, I'm sure there's a way to get a free download of that. Um, that does have a very minor effect on the season 2 of Walking Dead. Because when you import your game save information from the first game, like I said, if you play that one first, it'll affect the story. Um, but the 400 days DLC pack does add a couple character cameos and small events to the second game. Um, but I did read online, a lot of people said it was a cash grab on Steam forums because I looked on Steam a little bit. Of course, that's like Xbox Live for the computer almost. And yeah, a lot of people said that the buying the 400 days DLC was not worth it for the small amount of changes that it provided. But like I said, I when I played, I just ran through the base, season 1, and then I rolled right into season 2. So you'd be good to go, if you did that. Um, Now you're gonna hear a lot through this game about a character called Carver. And he's someone, you're gonna meet at some point during the kind of early parts of the game. And he's had a lot of controversial interactions with characters. And a lot of this game, not all of it, but a large chunk is going to be figuring out this guy Carver, kind of what he wants from the survivors, all the different groups, um, and kind of like what you think of him. Like what can you do to understand his motives, and are you going to get along with him or disagree with him, or what's going to happen here? So that's you're going to hear a lot about that character. um and now there are plenty of other characters. There's Alfred. You're going to meet early on. There's Luke. Luke is kind of like a humorous, like a witty, young guy. um there's going to be just a lot of different people through this game. Um, I mean, too many to count. And, some are not there for very long. Some are kind of throwaway characters. Um, and I will say, some of their lives are going to be in your hands. So if characters live or die, that's going to be up to the decisions of Clementine. And so, typically when you're put in a position to, either choose between maybe one character dying off or another, there's usually some bittersweet choices in this game where, there's some good and some bad moving forwards in the story. Um, but most of the time, when a character gets in a rut, if you don't save them, it's gonna be permadeath. I mean, they're done. They're done for. This game series, the Telltale Games, Walking Dead series, they do not hesitate to kill off characters. I mean, they're chopping heads and slitting wrists left and right. So this game's pretty dark in that way. Because a lot of people that have maybe been with you since the beginning, I mean, all the way up until the end. I mean, hell, they could be with you, from the first game, because you're gonna interact with some characters that you've seen before and you've met if you've played that, that first season and that DLC, all the way through before getting into this one. You might see some deaths at the end, depending on your choices, or towards the end, that they've been with you for a while. So you better make those decisions with a heavy heart. Um, but yeah, this game, like I said, it's split into 5 episodes, and the episodes, I mean, it depends on if you already know what you're looking for when you're exploring and choosing those dialogue options, of how long it's gonna take you. But this isn't a very long game. I mean, I'm gonna spitball and say maybe half a day you can knock it out. Um, and then when you do beat the game, you could go back and restart from whatever episode you want. So you don't have to play the entire game over again to see the different, choices. And oh wait, if I help this guy instead of this one, how does that change the game? Like you can just go back and check it out. Um, and there's different, like I said, chapters in each episode you can jump to, which was really nice for replaying it. Um, I will say, after playing both games straight through, I was fairly burnt out on them. I mean, I was ready for, something different. Less point and click. Um, so I did me personally, because there's a variety of endings for this game. There's several, I mean, quite a bit, and some of them change slightly, and some of them are drastically different. Um, like I said, you can replay from that last episode if you want to. But me personally, I hopped on YouTube and I looked up all the different endings, so I knew what my options were after I beat it the first time. And I mean, I was fairly satisfied where this one left off. I think a lot more so maybe than that first season, because the first season was a little rough when I got to the end. Um, but I will say there are a couple different games, um, in the Walking Dead Telltale Games series. If you did like this one, if you play this one and maybe you played it before and you don't want to run through it again, maybe you want something different. There's the Walking Dead: A New Frontier, which I'm not sure if that's a direct sequel, but that did come out after season two. I mean, I want to say that's on Xbox One, PS4, and I want to say the PC. And there might be some other systems, but those for sure. You got your main meat and potato consoles. Um, and then there's also a spin-off game that at one point was on the Xbox Live Arcade, The Walking Dead Michonne, and that follows Michonne from the TV series. And I haven't played that one, so I can't. I can tell you it's out there and it exists, but I can't tell you much more than that. Um, and then there's also, which I found very interesting, and at some point I'm gonna have to run through, there is a Walking Dead season 3. I believe that might be called like the final season or something like that. Um, but that is out there, I believe, for Xbox One, PS4, and I want to say PC as well. Um, but in that one, that does of course feature Clementine. And I know that because she was on all the marketing and the promotional material. um, but get to the end of this game first. I don't think it's a rush because, like I said, I after beating the first game, I mean, I was excited for the second season, but I was starting to be a little tired. I was like, I'm ready for something different. And then once I beat season two all the way through, in one day, I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm good on the point and click stuff. I mean, it was a good story, kept me interested enough to basically do it in one sitting. um but yeah, just I mean, I wouldn't want to put in a third game right after that and power through the third game, but I'm sure somebody has. um like I said, Telltale Games, that company I believe has gone out of business. Other than that, like I said, if you like this game, definitely check out The Wolf Among Us. I actually think I might like The Wolf Among Us more than the Walking Dead. And I believe they made The Wolf Among Us for a couple of the newer systems. I want to say there's a PlayStation 4 version and I want to say Xbox One. And they run a little smoother than the 360 and the PS3 version. Because unfortunately, still the Wolf Among Us still suffers from a lot of the stuttering and freezing issues that the Walking Dead games suffers from. Um, but yeah, I want to say like I said, I paid about $5 for this game. Um, maybe I don't know. year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that. Um, and I think I want to say this game's still pretty affordable. I mean, I don't think it shot up that much. I mean, I'd be shocked if it was over 15 bucks if I looked it up. I mean, I'd pay like me personally, the value I found in it, I wouldn't pay no more than 20, maybe. Really, it should be sitting about $10 probably. That's kind of how I feel in my heart because it's a short game. You pretty much run through it once and you done everything. Um, and yeah, I mean it should be pretty available out there because I know people been scooping up these 360 games like they're hotcakes. Um, yeah, but if you can find it, I mean I 100%, 100,000%, I'd recommend you play the first one. I mean, truly, that's what's screaming out to me in this discussion. You got to play that first game before you play this game. If you're a fan of that first one, definitely pick this one up. It's just more of the same with pretty graphics. Um, I would say, if you are you want a lazy game that you don't have to put too much effort into, this is a great game for that. Like I said, it's not open world. It's like watching a TV show. Every episode's like you're watching an hour-long television program. Um, yeah, it was fun. It's something new. If you're you don't I don't play with internet or anything. So if you're kind of, off in a cabin or something or, just kind of, isolated a little bit playing games, you want single player stuff, kind of locked down in the basement or something. This is a great game for that. I mean, you can just pop this in and it'll keep you busy, and you don't have to. It's not like a game like Far Cry or something where you got to sit there and grind side quests and do screwy stuff, collect little trinkets. I mean, it's actually like I said, I really now that I'm getting older, I appreciate games that have that story to them and they're short, sweet, and to the point, and that's what this is. Um, you still get to go through a lot of places, and I really appreciated the scenery being different in this game than the first one, because the first game mostly takes place about half of it in rural Georgia, and then the other half is like urban Georgia, like Savannah and Atlanta and some of those places. Um, this game, you do go up north where it's cold. You're going to see snow in this game. You're going to see ice. You are going to have different buildings you go to. You're going to go to a giant hardware store at one point. You're going to go to a couple different cabins. A forest. You're going to explore a forest and kind of some rural areas as well. Kind of paying homage to that first game. But yeah, there's a lot of variety compared to that first game. Um, and it was a nice change of pace. Just from like I said, playing your Call of Duties and your Battlefields, Halo, all that stuff. Um, I said it once and I'll say it again. You can only play through Halo 3 so many times before you need something different. Um, but yeah, it's just like I said. If you can find it cheap, pick it up. Play the first game first. All right. Well, I think that's all I got on this one. I mean, it's a simple game, and yeah, simple discussion. So, have a great day, and God bless you and your family. And thanks for watching and bearing with me while I'm sick. Still a little sick, but I'm still cranking out videos. So, all right, take care.